Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Shadowhunters, The Mortal Instrument Season 1. So this show is normally just called Shadowhunters, and so I fell in love with this show instantly when I watched it many years ago. I can't remember what year I watched it in. It might have been 2016, because that's when it came out. I probably did watch it in 2016, but I watched it after the first season aired, and then at some point in time, the second season had came out a bit later. So I probably did watch it in 2016. Basically, this show was my Buffy Charm filler because it had been many years since Buffy and Charm was on the air, and I really love shows like that. And this show kind of filled that void. Not as much, but kinda. My only main criticism of season 1, well, actually, there's a couple of things, but one of my main criticisms is the lack of action. When I saw that first episode that I reviewed, go watch that. I saw that action scene. I'm like, whoa, man, that was freaking awesome. But then when you go throughout the rest of the series, or season, I should say, there isn't much action. There's a tiny bit here and there, and then there's a battle with, say, like Alec and Jace, but it's choreographed very terribly. And so, but for the most part, the story is really interesting and stuff, and I find it very like, typical, but yet interesting. Because, we've seen this type of story before. Oh, there's a MacGuffin. Everybody has to find it. The good guys, the bad guys are trying to get it. And then, stuff are being revealed, this and that. So it's your typical fantasy type thing. But it's nice and it's interesting. The cast looks great. I've already said this before. The cast look like they should be on a CW show. This is an amazing looking cast. And so, but this show really does feel like it should be on a CW show. It's very drama, romantically filled. However, the dialogue doesn't bother me like the CW shows do. The dialogue is actually pretty engaging and stuff like that. They're like, they talk a lot, like long-winded speeches, but they're not boring like the CW is. But the problem with the season 1, it rushes things very quickly. Like, it runs through so much material so fast you have to listen. And because you're in this new world, all these new magical rules and all these new magical people, some things you recognize, like vampire, werewolf, stuff like that. But for the most part, you have to listen, but it goes by things so fast. So every episode, you're getting like a lesson taught to you, but you kind of want to see more than you hear more. And that's the problem. You hear more than you see. You show, you don't tell, and then you show, and then you tell at the same time. That's sometimes a bit better. Sometimes they do that in season 1, sometimes they don't. And so, like, but you're just very fascinated when you just like watch this show and everything. Some of the acting is hit or miss in season 1. Some of the special effects are really good. Like, for a TV budget, their demons look pretty good, but they don't show demons all that much because they don't have the budget for it, especially the werewolves. The werewolves look like the typical werewolves you see in Twilight, like a giant wolf. And sadly, the werewolves get like the short end of the stick. So do the vampires and stuff. It's not hard to do a vampire. Just a couple of fangs, that's all you need. But vampires rarely show up in this first season. And when they do, they're just here and they're there. It mostly deals with the Shadowhunter people who are half mundane, which are humans, and half they have angel blood in them because of the mortal cup, our MacGuffin and everything. And so I wish this season would have had more action for sure. I would have loved to see the werewolves a whole lot more and the vampires. I assume that they'll mostly be fighting vampires and werewolves. But they really don't because of something called the Accords, the rule set. Don't worry, I'll get all this later. But when it comes to werewolves, I wish they would have went old school werewolves, just put a person in a suit and have them growl and everything. Because I just want to see werewolves fighting and all this other stuff. But there's a reason why the werewolves really don't fight. Now, to get around the budget, what they'll do is they'll have the human walk somewhere, the eyes turn green, and then they'll slink down, and then the camera still is panned up, but they're slinked down, and then the werewolf supposedly is down below, but we don't see them, and then they enter a room and you hear growling and all this other stuff. I wish they would have had a streaming budget. Like, the love of God, I wish they would have, because I really wanted to see those werewolf fights instead of just hearing growling or a little bit CGI here and there. Most of the time in every season, werewolves only show up like twice, and that's it. Because they just don't have the budget. Now, season 1 has 13 episodes, whereas season 2, 20, and season 3, 22. Now, I will be talking about season 3 very, very, very soon before I get into season 2, because I actually recorded season 3 last year, but I wanted to get out season 1 first, just so people can understand what this is about, in case people on my channel have never watched this show before. And it will take me a good while to watch season 2, because it is about 20 episodes, so it'll take me about a month, get the audio out, find some pictures, this and that, do some research. So it's gonna take me a while, plus I got other stuff to do. And but you can watch this entirely free on Freeform. They still have that. And that's actually how I first started watching this show, on the app. And the problem with the app is you have multiple commercial ads, and they are anywhere from between 1 ad to 3 ads to 6 at the most. And they always have 6 ads. So it's constant commercials left and right. But that's how they have to pay for their free streaming app. I mean, hey, if it's free, why complain? You know what I'm saying? Just walk around the house and do something else during the commercial break. That's what I do. And so these characters, these are some interesting characters they have in the show. And, you know, I really like the cast. Like I said before, acting is sometimes hit or miss, but by season 2, the acting gets a whole lot better, and especially in season 3. Now, this is actually based off of a bunch of novel books, but it is also based off a movie. The movie came out in 2013, and I never finished it past 10 or 15, 20 minutes because I just couldn't. After watching the first 2 seasons of the show, I realized something. This show is so much better than the movie. The movie basically underperformed. It bombed. And I'm going to try to watch the movie again, because I am very curious to see if it really was that bad that I remember, because I couldn't even finish it. But some people prefer the movie, but majority of people prefer the show. And like, when it comes to the movie versus the show, like, take Jace. Jace in the show is this like broad, like very like grumpy, heroic, stern type dude. Like, he's your guy type hero. If you piss him off, he'll get in your face. Like, you know, he'll probably like shove you around. Like, he's a warrior type dude. In the movie, however, he's kind of like this emo, awkward, kind of quirky, weird kind of guy. And it's strange. Now, I've never read the books. I don't really know. People say that the TV show Jace is more like the books than it is the movie. Why they went this way in the movie, who really knows? But the movie came out because they was looking for the new Twilight at that time. This could have done it, but it sadly did not. Now, like I said before, this is based off a series of books. And just like the show, the books and the movies are very controversial. So the books are written by Cassandra Clare. Funny, because the main character is named Clary. Now, this is a pen name for Judith Lewis. Don't know why she don't want to use her real name, but she don't. She actually started writing fan fiction for Harry Potter, mostly Draco Malfoy, and so that's how she got her start. But then before she wrote the Mortal Instrument books, she deleted all her fan fiction of Harry Potter for some reason, but don't know why. The showrunner, and this is interesting, Ed Decter, he was replaced by the second season. See, most people complain that the first season played it a bit too safe. Things got kind of rushed. They kind of introduced things in the other books before they ended the first season. And also the choreography and the fighting wasn't that particularly good and wasn't that much. And I have to agree. Like I said, that first fight scene was awesome, but that one between Alec and Jace was kind of pathetic. And so he got fired by the second season, and they brought in the dude from Smallville, Darren Swimmer. And with that came major changes in the season 2. A lot of things got changed. First thing got changed was the swords they use. Now, shadowhunters, like I said, they have angel blood in them. Basically, a shadowhunter is this. They are a group of people, good-looking people, by the way, and they fight demons so that humans can live and everything in a peaceful life. They call human mundanes and everything. And they fight in the shadows because, they glamour themselves to like go invisible. But the thing is about shadow hunters, they are the second highest of the food chain. They are very elite. They are snooty. They are rich. They think they are everything. The highest on the food chain are angels and everything. Razul created the Mortal Cup and gave it to some mundane human people so they can turn into shadow hunters. Gave them angel blood. Because that's what the Mortal Cup does. It turns ordinary people into shadow hunters. And so shadow hunters have a lot of abilities. But in the first season, they had way more. Shadow hunters can run really fast. They're really strong. They can jump really high and all this other stuff. In other seasons, season 2 and 3, you don't see that no more. And basically, they draw these tattoo runes on their bodies that gives them special powers and abilities. They can like see further, hear better, go invisible, heal themselves, stuff like that. Change their appearance by transforming into somebody else. Stuff like that, and that's really cool. So basically, it's like a witch's wand that you draw on yourself, and then you get all these special powers. That's really neat. I like that. Now the runes in season 1, they are more red scar like, and it hurts when you draw on yourself. However, by season 2, they just turned into regular black tattoos. This was a cost-saving measure that was very easily done. And I like the black tattoo look better than the red scars. Like Alec, the one on his neck looks amazing and stuff. But, they draw these tattoos on them with a stale or stally. I can't say it. I'm going to say Stally. I just like the way that sounds. And these are like little wand pen looking things. And they all look different from each other. And they have like a little like jewel at the end. And that's how they do it. I don't know how they look in the movie. But when it comes to the swords, now this is where things change between seasons. I think it's called a Seraphim blade. That's their primary weapon. But they have other weapons too. But for some reason, they always use that in the show. I wish they would have used some of the other swords and other weapons like they did in the movies, but sadly they did not. Now, the first season swords were like these handles with a glowing blue blade to it. If a human was to pick up this sword and it glows, because it has a regular metal blade, but when you pick it up and if it glows, you're a shadow hunter. That's one reason how they knew Clary was one. Now, these swords are very similar to that of the movie. The movie just had different handles to them, but the same similar blade, but shorter, much, much shorter. And so, like, I like that. I like how they glow, kind of like a lightsaber, but the handles are kind of boring, and the sword blade length is really short. By season 2, they came out with this beautiful looking sword. I love the curvature of it. I love how they have runes on it. Only the runes, they glow blue, but the sword no longer glows. It's just a regular sword now. But it is so amazing. I miss the glowing effect, but it just looks so much better. I mean, come on now, Now, what are the mortal instruments? There are three that the angels have given to that of the mortal world. One is the mortal cup, the other one is the mortal sword, and the other one is the mortal mirror. And the first season deals primarily with the mortal cup. That is the MacGuffin they have to find. Why? Because the villain, Valentine Morgenstern, he wants to turn humans into shadow hunters so he can have his own elite warriors to go against the good shadow hunters. He's basically the Voldemort of this series. He's barely in the first season. He's mentioned a lot. The actor they have playing him, I've never found this guy terrifying. I've seen him in 3 different shows and he never seems evil enough. I don't know why he plays these bad roles, because he never seems evil. And so, I just never understood that, right? And so, anyways, he is the father of our main protagonist. Now, shadow hunters, they look human, and they are the elite of the elite. They are like rich, snooty people who think they are better than everybody. They think they are better than humans. They think they're better than warlocks, werewolves, vampires, and sealings, which are fairy people, and any and all kind of demons. And everybody underneath them they just call downlings and stuff. They are literally aristocratic and stuff, and they all love to dress in black. Well, except for Izzy. She likes to mix it up with a little red now and then. But for the most part, they are extremely stuck up. They are literally I can't fathom how annoying it is that they think they're so much better than everybody, and they only communicate with the downlings whenever they need something like information and stuff. And so and it's funny, they protect humans, but they cannot stand humans, even though they are themselves half demons. But they literally control everything. The reason why there's no conflict between the vampires and the werewolves is because of the Accords. Rules set in place by that of the shadow hunters. Basically, if they step out of line, then they will be imprisoned and stuff like that. So vampires are not allowed to bite humans. They're not allowed to turn humans. Werewolves, they can't turn humans either, and they're not allowed to fight with one another. They just basically have to keep their distance. And so, of course, they abide by these rules and everything. And so do warlocks. And warlocks are half human, half demons. And some of them have horns, and other ones just look like regular humans. Sealings are completely different. They're human looking, elf ear type, fairy people, but no wings. And they have to tell the truth. They can never lie. It's just in their system. They live in the pocket dimension, and they mostly keep to themselves, but they do like to interact with the rest of the world and stuff like that. To date, a downling is completely an abomination and everything. They are not allowed to live in the place the Institute. That's where they work from. Now, the Institute is a giant church, and inside is this extremely high-tech place. It's really nice looking. The computers are high-tech, the tables are high-tech. They have stained glass windows because it's a chapel and stuff. And so this is their base of operations. Now, downlings are allowed inside, but mundanes really are not. But warlocks are allowed to come in if they have to help assist in something, which they normally always do. And each city has their own high ranking warlock. And so with the Institute, it's kind of cloaked from human eyes and everything. Only people with the sight can see it. And so shadow hunters, they don't really interact with people. They just go invisible and they do their thing and stuff like that. And it's very fascinating, but I want to see these other demons, you know? And the movie, yeah, they had the budget for demons. Now, the TV show had a pretty good budget for demons too, but they didn't have as many as that of the movie. And so, like, I'll give the movie that credit and stuff. But the TV show did a pretty good job. But, like, yeah, once the second season came in, oh, they upgraded everything. And it got much darker too. This first season is more mysterious, like a lighthearted levity and kind of like fluffy in a kind of way, very colorful and stuff. The intro is very mesmerizing. I love the intro. It's basically the template for like the thumbnail thing that I'm using for this. And so like, but in the second season, it's more upgraded and stuff. It's more like a 90s CW version of it and stuff. And like, I'm trying to think when it comes to weapons. I'll get into that when I do the character profiles and stuff. But basically, it's like this. Valentine is evil. He turned his back on like the Clave. The Clave is the organization of shadowhunters. And so the Clave, he turned his back on them. He just didn't like the rules, this and that, and he had his heart broken. And so he started, you know, creating his own shadow hunters with the Mortal Cup. The Mortal Cup was hidden from him. They thought he was dead, all this other stuff. And so, like, in the book, the Mortal Cup is slightly different. It makes Mardanes and the Shadow Hunters, but in the show, it does the same thing. However, you have to be physically strong. If you're more like a weak person, then it will kill you. Not sure why they did that in the show, just to make it more like interesting, I guess. And so each institute is run by like a person in charge. The Lightwoods run the one that's in New York, and that is from Alec and Isabel's like parents and stuff. And so I think I ran down everything. But let's get down to some character profiles. Clary Frey, later named Morgenstern. She is our protagonist, played by the gorgeous redhead of Cat Matt in the Mirror. And so basically, she was just an ordinary girl, or so she thought, until she went to like she was out near a club with her friend Simon and their other friend. And so she sees some strange activity going on, and it's Jason, like Izzy, and it's Alec doing the shadow hunter thing. And when Jason notices that she can see him, he's surprised that she has the gift. And so next thing you know, her world is turned upside down when she starts seeing demons and kills one by mistake. And so after that, they start to train her into being a shadow hunter. I can't talk. Shadow hunter. Jace is very smitten by her. He thinks she's hot. And so, but Alec, his best friend and parabatai, I'll get into that later, is very annoyed by Clary and does not like her and treats her like crap throughout the rest of the season. And it's because he is jealous, because he has feelings for Jace. And so, like, so Clary, you know, she's getting a crash course in this whole shadow hunter thing, not really believing it until her mom tells her, you know, your life is in danger. I hid your memories, blah, blah, blah. The Mortal Cup, this and that. And so demons are constantly coming for her and her mom. And then her mom takes like a potion and puts her in a deep sleep and in a force field type thing, to where her father, Valentine, kidnaps her mom. And so now she is in dire need of finding this Mortal Cup, getting it away from Valentine and trying to rescue her mom all in the same time while learning how to be a shadow hunter. Now the series don't really show her training that much, only twice in physical training, but she's a quick learner and stuff. And she's very smart, and she has a drawing background. See, she was drawing demons when she was a little girl, and she was drawing like a guy in like a castle. I'll get into more of that in season 2 and 3. And so, like, because of this, her mom worried Her mom didn't want her to have no affiliation with that of Valentine. So when Clary saw a demon for the first time as a little girl, her mother, Jocelyn, took Clary to see Madness Bane, the head warlock, and he wiped her memories completely. This is why she had no I can't even talk, no remembrance of, like, the shadow world, the demon world, and stuff like that. So she is aided by that of Izzy, Alec, and that of Jace. Now, I think in the book they're teenagers, but here they're like 18, 19, 20, something like that. And so she has a best friend named Simon. She loves Simon to death. It is her all-time best friend. He loves her a bit too much, and she will do anything for Simon. And I mean anything, which really pisses Jace off. He likes Clary and stuff. And so, like, but Simon wants to tag along, wants to make sure she's safe and all this and that. And the others all like, look, she's a shadow hunter. You leave her alone and go do mundane stuff. But Simon just can't do that. So he tags along and he ends up getting kidnapped and by the vampires. So, they have to like rescue him, this and that. And so, like, her and Jace, they bond a lot during the season. He's teaching her the ropes while also falling in love with her and stuff. And so he takes her to a club with tons of demons and vampires and all this and that. So there, and they have to steal a vampire motorcycle. Now, this is the only time we ever see this. And the vampire motorcycle has a unique property that only happens in the first season. You hit a button and it basically goes into warp drive and everything. And it can fly. I don't know why they stopped this in season 2. I really like that ability. It was set to show apart from other shows. And so, like, it's really cool to see her learn about the underworld, the downworld and everything, and all the stuff, like, that coincides. They go to the City of Bones, which one of the books is named after, which is what one of the movies was based off of and stuff. And the City of Bones is like, where a lot of the, like, underlings like dwell, and there's like a chamber down beneath made of bone, this and that, and they have to go talk to like these 3 muted like shadow hunter people who, I think they're blind or something like that. I forget what they asked for, but basically everybody thinks she knows what the mortal cup is because her mom hid it. But the problem is she don't have her memories. So they go to Madness Bane, the person who took her memories. But he sold them to like a memory demon because he was afraid Valentine would get a hold of him and like, torture him for the information. Whereas this memory demon can't be tortured. So this memory demon always wants something in return. So they have to like hold hands and they have to give up a loved one memory. Well, we start seeing the ones that they love the most. We see Clary, it's her mom. We see Isabel, it's her brother, Alec. I forget who Jace's is. And when they get to Alec, his is that of Jace. He's shocked and surprised and ashamed because he's like closeted. And he's all like, no, this is a mistake. Somehow she's twisting my mind and all this other stuff. And Izzy's all like, it's okay, because they kind of realize he's like that. But Jace really didn't know. And so he breaks the bond and they can't get her memories back. And she's forced to kill the memory demon because now he wants revenge because he's a very cranky person. So needless to say, she will never have her full intact memories again. And so, at some point in time, like, she's really close with a guy named Luke, who's a police officer, but he's also a werewolf. She does not know that. And so she overhears him having a conversation with somebody else, thinking he's gonna betray her, but he had to say that and everything. Now the bond between those two are really cool, but Luke really gets the short end of the show. He's rarely in it. He rarely turns into a werewolf. And we really don't get to see that close bond between him and Clary and stuff, even though he's kind of like a godfather kind of figure to her. And so, like, because he was in love with her mom. And he had an affair with her mom when she was married to Valentine. And so he, like when he, like, what is it? The werewolves, they kidnap, like, Clary and what's his name, Simon and stuff. By this time, Simon is being affected by a demon and stuff, and so like um the pack of the werewolf dude, he's not playing around. He said he'll kill them if they don't get the cup. So in comes Luke to save the day, and he challenges, like, the pack leader, and he ends up winning. But if you get bit by the pack leader of the werewolves, it's basically like poison. So Madness Bane is doing all he can, and so Clary is really heartbroken over this and stuff. After Luke is okay, she starts to realize she has a strange ability. If she has like an object in her hand, puts it on paper, it gets like absorbed by the paper and it looks like a drawing. And so she said this has only happened once to her before. And so now she realizes where her mom hid the cup in these tarot cards. And her place has been completely ransacked by the demons. And so like, but Luke has, like, the card. So eventually they get it back and she gets the cup. But now they have to hide it in the Institute and they don't want to give it to the Clave for some bizarre reason. And because they have to get her mom out somehow. Well, anyways, after like pissing off the Clave and trying to save like a seedling, fairy dude, because he gave up Clary's location, they go to bust him out because he's Isabel's boyfriend. And so because of this, now the Clave is pissed at her and all the others and stuff. So they have to kind of like go into hiding, this and that. And so some shenanigans happen here and there. And it's a filler episode that's really stupid. Basically, it's an alternate reality where she has to go and somehow find like her father or something like that. Basically, she goes to the ceiling world. It's like, you go through this other dimension and somehow she'll be able to find her father. Like, I don't know. It's a really dumb filler episode. It's really, 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 really pointless. All the while, she is falling in love with Jace, which is making Simon jealous. To the point where kissing Jason and all this other stuff, and she's really falling for him because he's taking her under his wing, and also he's falling for her. So it's kind of like, a nice romantic thing that they have for each other. He likes that she's strong and beautiful, and she just likes him because he likes her. And Simon, he even tells Simon, dude, you're in the best friend role, and you ain't getting her, and stuff like that. And that's such the sad truth. Like, never do the best friend role if somebody you like. It never works out. And like, everybody has been there at some point in time. And so like so at some point Izzy gets like in trouble and they have to trade the cup for Izzy. And so at some point in time, her and Jace rescue Jace's dad. They're looking for her dad, but they find Jace's dad. And so like they're trying to like lure Valentine out. And at some point in time, Valentine sends his demons to attack all of them. And Clary's in the room with Jace and Michael Whelan, who is Jace's father. And so, like, she tries to use the cup on the demons. I forgot to say, the cup also can control demons. And so she tries to do it, but it won't work. So then he tries, Michael Whelan, but it don't work. And Clary informs him that, like, she glamored just a regular mug and that she has the real cup. And she orders the demons to, like, leave. And in a big surprise, it turns out Michael Whelan is really Valentine in a glamour transformation spell. And Valentine basically is like, give me the cup so we can be a family. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, don't you know? Jace is my son and everything. So it's a gross incest type thing. She's in love with her brother and he's grossed out. She's grossed out. It's really nasty. Now, things are not always what they seem. And then when you get into season 2 and then 3, other revelations happen and stuff. So because of this, it puts a strain on their friendship because, yeah. Okay, now I remember what Clary did at the City of Bones with the three brothers who are like mute. They had the mortal sword and they used it to try to regain Clary's memories, but of course they couldn't, and they needed Madness' help because he's the one who took them. And so the thing about Clary I like how smart she is. I love how brave. And I love how devoted she is to her friends. She will do anything to help protect her friends, even if it means giving up something, she desperately needs, or have to like save the world type thing. And that's so great because with Simon, that is literally her best friend, and she does truly love him and everything. Even to the point that when he got kidnapped by the vampires and got bit by one and stuff, and then later turned into one and his blood was drained and died because of Camille, she was devastated and heartbroken because she feels it's her fault. She feels that, he would have never been put in this situation if she never was what she was and everything. And, she wasn't there to protect him. Izzy just like wasn't even paying attention to him, and she put her trust in these new people she just met, and he got kidnapped and stuff. And so she had a hard choice to make when either she had to let him like resurrect as a vampire or stake him. She decided to let him resurrect and turn into a vampire because she couldn't bear killing him. And also she wanted both of them to be special. She didn't want to have to go through this alone. A little bit selfish, but I understand why she didn't want to kill him and stuff. And so, when it comes to Valentine, she hates his guts and she will not hesitate to like kill him and stuff. Now, as for the whole Jace thing, okay, I'm just gonna spoil this right now because I don't know. Like I said, it's gonna take a good while if I do season 2, but I'm doing season 3 very soon because the audio is already recorded. I just gotta do the pictures and stuff. So they got feelings for each other. Turns out they're related, but they're really not. See, Valentine just pretended to be Jace's father after he murdered Jace's father many years ago. And so the good thing is they're not brother and sister and they're not doing incest, which for some bizarre reason, Cassandra, the writer, she loves to put incest in all her novels for some bizarre reason. I don't know why, and it's really, really, really gross and nasty. I think I read somewhere she thinks it's kind of kinky. No, it's not. And so, like, when she did fan fiction and stuff back in the day, she would always put incest. Now, this was how it was in the books between her and Jace. They, at one point, they really were brother and sister, and they felt for each other constantly, like, kissing and making out, knowing that, they were related. I think from what I heard from somebody else is that people did not like this, so she had to retcon it and everything. However, that wasn't the only incest in the series. You will find out more when you hear my season 3 review with her actual real brother. And I'm just like, dude, what is wrong with you? And stuff. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And so, like, I just don't get it. And so, like, after having, like, the cup and having to turn in, because, like, with Izzy, like I told you before, Izzy got in trouble. So she had to turn over the cup. And like I said before, she will do anything for her friends. And, her and Izzy, even though they're not that close, she does trust Izzy and she cares for Izzy. And it's funny because when, her world got turned upside down, Izzy had to give her clothes, and she was not comfortable wearing Izzy clothes because Izzy loves to dress super sexy with tight skirts and dresses and all that other stuff, and midriffs, like you just name it. Her and Alec just does not like her. He is an ultimate butthead towards her because, like, he's super, super, super jealous and stuff. Now, I am trying to watch the movie again. Like, I'm watching it right now. I've gotten through an hour this time as opposed to 20 minutes years ago. And even though it's not a terrible movie, I just prefer the show better. Like, the whole Alec thing just seems better on the show. Like, especially his hatred towards, like, Clary and stuff. Her and Luke, the dude basically was like a father to her, and she really cares for him. And it sucks that Luke get the short end of the stick in this series. Like I said, Valentine, she could kill him if she could and everything. And so, like, things between her and Jace get very rocky because he still thinks they're brother and sister because the revelation has not came until next season. That's that word I was trying to say, revelation. I was thinking of revolution, so then I stopped, pause. I'm just like, oh, wait, what am I trying to say? I hate when that happens. And so, like, her and Jace just can't really talk to each other right now. He doesn't want to talk to her. She needs his help and everything, but he's being a complete butt, talking about, like, when she says, our mother, and he's all like, your mother's not my mother, blah, 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 help raise me and blah, blah. So then he starts insulting her mother, and she does not like that. I love how she stands up for herself. She doesn't take nothing laying down. Like, if you say something rude to her, she will snap back and everything. Now, one difference between her and the movie version is that the movie version, well, her world gets turned upside down and she starts learning all this stuff. She is very kind of like, excuse me, she's kind of like, kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, everything takes her by surprise, and like, she's a little scared of like vampires here and there. Why isn't a TV show? She isn't as scared as much. She just takes things head on, which I kind of like and I kind of don't. It's kind of like if you heard of vampires and werewolves and all this other, you would be a little bit more skittish and scared. So that's what I like about the movie version, that she's a little bit more skittish, but she's too skittish in the movie. I wish the TV show would have had a little bit more skittiness, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, if you see like a vampire, you're gonna get kind of scared, and some demons and stuff. I mean, but the thing is, they made her into a true like hero and everything, and a warrior to be. And so, like, when Jay starts to betray her and everything, she just can't like believe it. And like, yeah, he literally betrays her to Valentine with the whole mortal cup and all this other stuff. And so it's like, here's this dude, she doesn't know how to feel about him. Now, first she's in love with him, but then she's like, oops, nope, you're my brother. And then it's like she cares for him. And then here he is betraying her and stuff. And, so she is just kind of like, she can't even trust her own family. But then when it comes to her mother, she does rescue her mom towards the end. She had to find like the Book of White, I think that's what it's called, and Camille had it. So they had to get her from her prison and stuff. And so they was able to finally find the book. And then finally take that little spell thing off her mom, and they embraced, and they're so happy. And, and it's nice that she had a little bit of a happy ending, but now the world is going to be screwed because Jace helped betray them, and Valentine has the cup, and he's creating shadowhunters. And, like I said before, it is very, very, very fascinating and stuff. Like, I really like this, like, new take on like supernatural type stuff and superhero type stuff. Is kind of refreshing. You get tired of seeing the same stuff over and over. And there's some people who hate this show and the entire series. Now, I understand why they get irritated by the books because of all the abuse and like the incest and stuff like that. But when it comes to the show, they shouldn't hate the show, but people just like make fun of it at times. I don't understand why. It has a huge fan base. You always see online, Twitter, people talking about renew Shadowhunters and stuff. I guess I'll do Simon next. Simon was just an ordinary, dorky kind of dude with glasses and stuff. He was best friends with Clary, and he is super in love with her. Now, he's supposed to be super dorky and nerdy, but he doesn't really come off that way in the show. But he comes off that way in the movie. And so, like, when her world gets turned upside down, he just wants her to get like far away from that and come back to civilization. He's all like, stay away from these Shadowhunter people, this and that. His biggest adversary is that of Jace. They hate each other, and because they both love Clary, so it's a big love triangle type thing of jealousy. And so when he decides to tag along with them, when he meets Izzy, Izzy's kind of like flirting with him. She likes what she sees, even though she has a boyfriend. And so when they go to the City of Bones, Alec is supposed to like, I don't know if Alec was there or not. Maybe he was patrolling, like making sure the perimeter was safe. But like Izzy was supposed to keep an eye on Simon, and then she hears a noise. So she goes to investigate, and inside Simon's van is Camille the vampire. So they kidnap him, and Raphael, Camille's brother, he's all like, give us the mortal cup and we'll give you the Medane back. He wants the mortal cup because the mortal cup can control demons. And so, since vampires are demons, And so these are your old school, pale skin, just fang vampires. Nothing demonic looks about them. Well, anyway, they take them back to their hotel because that's where they stay at for some bizarre reason. And so while there, Simon is under the thrall of that of Camille. And she kind of like, seduces him, hypnotizes him with her vampire type ways. And then she allows Simon to bite her. Now, the rules of being a sire and Shadowhunters is very similar to that of Buffy. Basically, but in Buffy, the vampire has to bite you first. But here, he bit her. So when he bit her, some of her blood went into him, which is kind of messing with his mind. Basically, he bites her, and if she bites him back, he'll turn into a vampire. And so, like, also she drains him and stuff. So they're able to rescue him because Raphael turned on his own people. And for some reason, he tells Jace, like, keep your friends and your enemies close and this and that. For whatever reason, he wants to help Jace and them out, but they can't understand why. And so the next couple of episodes, Simon is going through some weird things and he doesn't understand what is going on with him. He's unable to talk to Clary because she's too busy doing the Shadowhunter thing. So he's all left alone to like ponder and be paranoid. And so like he has literally like he can like see like veins popping in people's necks. He has a taste for blood. His friend Maureen is also friends with Clary. He sleeps with her, but he calls her Clary, which pisses her off. And she literally tells Simon, like, look, man, I like you and everything, but now if you call me by somebody else because you're in love with somebody else. Now, Maureen is completely different in the book. First of all, she's younger, and they aged her up in the series. Also, she doesn't appear much. She's just there, pops in, and she pops completely out and is never seen again. Now, in the book, she gets turned into a vampire also. I don't know why they did that. I mean, yeah, the show has a lot of characters, but they could have squeezed her in, And so now all of a sudden, Simon is very, very fast and he's very, very strong. And he's getting to the point where he no longer is starting to need his glasses, but he still wears them. Now, what's bizarre is that one time he's hanging out with Alec, they're doing some Shadowhunter type stuff, and Alec can literally see the dude's running fast, and the dude is super, super, super strong. He's all like, do you have the sight? Like, what did those vampires do to you? Dude, you're a Shadowhunter. You're supposed to figure that out. And so they ensure Clary that Simon will be fine because, it takes a lot of processes to make a vampire. And even if, like, he was to get bit or whatever, he has to start biting back and all this other stuff and be drained and all this other crap. And so one time, like, when Luke needed like, some herbs. Him and Jace decided they're gonna go together, but they don't want to go together. And so they argue and they fight and they come to blows to where Jace is about to behead him. And even Jace can't figure out what's going on. It's weird. All these shadow hunters cannot figure out what is going on with Simon. So Simon is completely paranoid. He's writing down on a sheet of paper, like, I'm not becoming a vampire. I'm not becoming a vampire. And it sucks because he has to go through all this alone because his best friend is too busy trying to find a cup and get her memories back. And, I really feel for Simon. But because he has Camille's blood in him, he keeps going back to the hotel, which Raphael keeps telling him, stay away, but he can't. And so when he's back with Camille and everything, she drains him dry and kills him, which breaks the accords. Vampires are not allowed to do that. So she gets imprisoned by Raphael, and Raphael brings the dead body of Simon back to the Institute. Clary is beside herself. She cannot believe she allowed her friend to turn into this, and she couldn't help him. But like I told you before, she has to make the difficult choice, and she allows him to become a vampire, which pisses him off. When you see him resurrect, he's guzzling down things of blood in like one of those medical packs. It's very cool how he does that and very organic. And you really feel terrible for this dude because it's like he doesn't need food no more. And now he just has to drink blood, and he does not want to do that. He wants to be in the sunlight. He almost he can't control his craving. I think he almost attacked his family one time, and he almost attacked this older man. And what's even worse is that him and Luke are friends, but the werewolves don't want him at the place because he is a vampire. So, he basically just runs off and everything. Now, when this happens, Jace is now starting to feel sorry for Simon and starting to befriend him because, he realizes that, Simon did not deserve this and everything. And one day he might have to take Simon down if Simon cannot control his cravings and stuff. And so eventually him and Clary and all them, he accepts what he is. And he no longer needs glasses and stuff. But his mom thinks there's something bizarre going on with him because Maureen called talking about she thinks he's on drugs or something like that. And he was even at the point where he was about to tell his mom, hey, look, I'm a vampire. But Clary tells me, you can't do that and stuff. So now he has to stay with Raphael and them at the hotel because he's a risk to his mother and sister. And so, but he still helps out with Clary doing the shadowhunter thing. He helps makes the alliance between the werewolves and the vampires temporarily for Clary and them to get that ceiling out of custody and stuff. He becomes like an ambassador to the werewolf. The werewolves still hate him. Well, when Claire needs to find the book of White, he knows that Camille knows where it's at. So they have to go to Raphael and everything, but he doesn't want to do it. So Simon breaks Raphael's trust and basically is kicked out. And so with Camille, she wants Simon to write in blood and sign it saying that he wanted her to bite him and turn him into a vampire, this and that, just so she can be free. And so they'll get the book if she gets her freedom, and that's what happens. And she appears one more time in the second season and disappears. Raphael and Camille are brother and sister. They don't have a big story arc this season, but Raphael at least gets a bigger one the next season. Raphael's whole purpose is that he wants to control the vampires in New York, but his sister is the one in control. So when all this Simon stuff starts happening, when she turned him, that was his perfect opportunity to take control and show the Clave that, look, she broke the accords and this and that. And, he used to be Catholic, and they're both around 400 something years old. And so after he imprisoned her and then she escapes with Clary and them, like I said before, Simon signs that paper and she has her freedom. And she's hiding out from her brother. And it's quite sucks that she was never really shown after this, except for one time in the second season. Because she was an interesting character she was just straight up evil and everything, and did not care if she turned the person or not. Whereas Raphael's a little bit more compassionate and everything. He likes to think things out, and he's not as evil as her. Luke. He is a werewolf, a former shadow hunter. And so, like, it's funny. He's played by Isaiah Mustafa, the Old Spice commercial dude. And he was also in It Chapter 2. And so, like, in the back of the day, he was a shadow hunter. His peripaty was Valentine. A peripaty is a very strong bond that two shadow hunters have. They're basically like they share a bond that nobody else can share, so they become peripaty, and they can find people by combining their powers and this and that. Jason Alec does that a lot, but it's only shown in the first season. And they say peripaty like a million times in the first season, to the point where I get so tired, I'm just like, peripaty and everything. Like, come on, man, peripaty. But I do like the term because it's something different. Like, you never heard that before, you know? And so, but then he fell in love with Jocelyn when she was married to Valentine. This affair he later found out about and turned his back on Luke, to where he set Luke up to get attacked by werewolves and stuff. And so when he got turned by werewolves, his runes fell off and then he grew a beard. Because I guess being a shadow hunter, half angel, you ain't allowed to have a beard. And so, like, him and Jocelyn continued the relationship. He became a cop in the show, but in the books and in the movie, he runs a library and stuff. And so, like, because now he's a cop, that makes his character more interesting, especially when murders turn up and he is framed for them. Now, like I said before, sadly, he does not get to turn into a werewolf that much. And you only see werewolf like 3 times in the first season. And you don't even get to see them transform because they don't have a budget for that. But their eyes turn green. And it's quite a shame because, I want to see that and stuff. And so later on, he becomes the pack leader when he tries to protect Clary. But when you get bit by that of a pack leader, it's kind of like poison. Well, in a way, he gets fixed and all this other stuff. He basically helps assist in, them finding the cup and helping Jocelyn. In all 3 seasons, he barely does anything. But I think in season 2, he does a bit more. But season 1, he doesn't do that much. In season 3, he was all filming It Chapter 2, so he couldn't be there that much. But he loves Jocelyn so much, and he blames himself for Valentine turning half evil because of that affair. But Valentine was just always evil. But he still blames himself nevertheless. Alec is the older brother of Izzy, and he is closeted, and he's in love with his peripaty Jace, who he known as a brother, which is not incestual, but it's kind of like if you have this complete stranger who's not related to you and y'all been raised to be like brothers, then y'all kinda brother-ish, but not really. That's more that incest, man, type thing. It's not true incest, but it's like almost like alluding to it, kinda. And so, like, he is in straight denial and everything when everybody finds out he's in love with Jace. Now, his primary weapon he loves to use is that of a bow and arrow. He doesn't like using swords or nothing else that much, just the bow and arrow. And he is very good at it. And so when he meets Madness Bane, Madness gives him the look, which he kind of realized, oh, Madness must be like bi or whatever. And so he's intrigued by all this. And so Madness, wherever he wants, he gets. And he wants Alec. So he keeps trying to spend time with Alec. And so like one time when Luke was like hurt, he's all like, I need like, the blood of like a virgin, go get like Alec and everything. But he just did that so he can see Alec. And so Madness is really trying to make him come out the closet and let him know that he has feelings for him and this and that. And so, Alec is like all for that, but he is still kind of weary of everything else. Now, Alec has a very mean mother who is the head of the Institute. Their father and mother are kind of like estranged, kind of, and they have a little brother. And he loves his little brother, but we don't ever get to see him that much. His brother likes to set stuff on fire. And so he knows he can never come out to his mom because his mom hates downworlders and stuff. She doesn't like mundane. She don't like vampires. She doesn't like warlocks and stuff. So she don't like all those type people. She's not gonna like gay people. But then it gets to the point where him and what's his name, Jace are constantly getting into it because of the whole Clary thing. Even to the point where they come to blows and stuff. And he just hates Claire with passion. He's all like, you have twisted the mind of Jace and stuff, And it's only because he's jealous. And he doesn't interact with Simon that much, except for one time, which is funny in the third season, because Simon's all like, oh, you probably don't know me and everything, but my name is Simon. Even though they've met before. And so, like, he meets this woman who takes over the Institute temporarily because she reveals to them that both his parents was part of Valentine's circle. But they took like a plea bargain and everything. And so they got to run the Institute. And so, like, because now that his family name has been tarnished because of the whole, secret coming out and all this other stuff, him and that woman decide, hey, why don't we get married? That way my family name, reputation can get better and you can, like, I think run the Institute or something like that. So they agree. They know it's both fake, but they don't care. And so when they're about to get married and everything, guess who crashes it? Madness. And basically he tells them, don't live this lie and blah 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 and I care for you. So they kiss and they make out and everybody's like and then of course his mom is pissed. His mom is pissed. The dad not so much, but the mom is pissed. She feels embarrassed that he did all this in front of everybody and he did it with a warlock. She doesn't really care so much that he's gay, it's just that he's a warlock and everything. And so he breaks his parapetite bond with that, he weakens it with Jace when he tries to find out where Jace is at. He's trying to find the cup because Izzy is in trouble and, because of the ceiling dude and stuff. And so when, of course, Jace like turns his back on everybody, Alec is distraught. But now he is starting a relationship with that of Madness. And this is kind of rushed. It wasn't supposed to happen so early in the first season because, it doesn't really happen in the book that much other than flirtation and stuff. And so like that irritated a couple of fans, but fans seem to really love this couple to the point, oh, that's the reason why they want this show to come back. Izzy is freaking hot. Period. She's always dressed and sexy. She flirts with everybody. Sometimes when she talks to Alec, it sounds like she's flirting with him and she has to keep saying to the audience, now we're brother and sister. And it's kind of like, dude, what is with the author and all this incest crap? but what's her name? Izzy Isabel. She is super flirtatious. She loves to dress like sensual and sexy and all that other stuff. And she fights in all these tight dresses and skirts and high heel boots and stuff like that. Her primary weapon is a whip in the shape of a snake. It's coiled around her wrist, and she uses it like a pro. She can even turn it into a staff. She doesn't do much in the first season other than sleep with her boyfriend for information, but then her boyfriend, the ceiling, the fairy dude, turns in Clary to that of Valentine, which gets him in trouble, and so Izzy has to break him out. And when she does that, she is in trouble. The three mute brothers have to judge her with that of the sword, the soul sword, aka the mortal sword. But when the cup is returned, then she is out to clear. Like I said before, she doesn't really do much in the first season. Now she is smart when she does like medical stuff and research, so I like that. That they just didn't make her sexy; they also made her smart. And so she has a little bit of a crush on Simon, which is funny because she has a boyfriend. And so when her mother comes, her and Izzy constantly gets into it. Izzy decided to spare Alec the pain of having to get forcefully married. She will change her way. This is when she starts covering up. She starts wearing her hair in a ponytail, and she breaks up with her ceiling boyfriend with that of a fire leather. And so, but it's not enough because her mom would never change the ways. But she wants her mom's approval of her, and not to just think she's some type of like screw up or something. And so, like in the second and third season, her story is expanded a whole lot more, especially with an addiction that she has in the second season. And we see just how like tough and brave she is in the third season. And by those times, she stopped dressing sexy, which really pissed me off. Malik Bane is a warlock, and there are half demons. He's one of the most powerful ones that there are, and his dad is completely evil, and his dad has been banished to like some type of demonic underground type place that Madness put him in. And so like Madness is the one who took Clary's memories because that's what Jocelyn wanted. And so he is bisexual, and he used to date Kamel, but she completely used him and broke his heart. And he's had many relationships, even with that of another warlock with little horns and stuff like that, but he's never been able to truly find love. When he spots Alec, he goes into predatory mode and is constantly hounding him and stuff. But the relationship between those two is very organic. That's one reason why so many fans like it. It doesn't feel forced. Well, other than him like preying on him. But other than that, it's like it happened very, very organically and stuff. He tries to be around him as much as possible, and he helps Alec realize that, hey, look, dude, you are gay and you shouldn't have to hide that. You should be proud of who you are, and talking about how he'll never hurt him and this and that because he just wants to fall in love. And so in the first season, and just like in the books, when he uses his powers, he has these light yellowish cat eyes. This gets taken away in the second season. I guess there was too much money for him. And so I love the way he uses his magic with his hands. You really have a sense and feeling that he is magical and stuff. Jace is very macho, very manly, and he's one of the best shadow hunters there is, and people know of his reputation. He thinks he's the most good-looking man in the entire world, and he loves himself some Clary. Now, growing up, he thought his father was mean and thought his father, Michael Whalen, was dead. Why? Because of Valentine, and Valentine pretended to be his father before he faked his death and everything. Basically, I think when Valentine pretended to be Michael, he gave him Jace a falcon and told him, oh, you like this? You're attached to this? Well, you can't get attached to nothing. You can't have feelings. So you need to kill that falcon. So he grew up with this kind of chip on his shoulder and thought he had a bad upbringing. So when his father Well, his father was been dead, but when Valentine faked his father's death, he went to go live with that of the Lightwoods, Alec and Izzy. And so basically he was raised by their family. And so him and Alec became like best buds and almost like brothers. So they became parapetite. Whenever Clary's in trouble and they have to look for her, they use this special bond and their magic powers to like find where she's at and stuff like that. If they try to look for one another, the bond gets like broken. They say parapetite like a million times this season, but you rarely hear it in season 3. Like one time. In season 2, you don't hear it that much. And so, like, he's this very stern, grumpy kind of person, but he has a soft side for Clary. And so, like, him and Izzy don't really interact that much, but he gets really sick and tired of Alec being mean to that of, like, Clary. But when he finds out Alec loves him, he thinks it's like a brother. But of course, Alec loves him more than that. But he doesn't care, but he also isn't gonna date him. And so like he has such strong feelings for Clary that like when he thinks they're brother and sister, he is completely grossed out and treats her like crap. Now, when this one former Shadowhunter, I forget his name, he used to be part of Valentine's Circle. That's what they call it. Like instead of the Clave, it's the Circle. They're like the bad Shadowhunters. He betrays them and gives them the cup. So but what's his name? Jace is kind of like, he hesitated to kill Valentine because he thinks that's his father and stuff. And so Clary would not hesitate. And so he's contemplating what should he do. He just wants to have his father, this and that. And so he joined forces with that of Valentine, which gets him into major trouble with the Clave. And, this dude had a tragic upbringing. He thought his father was dead, and turns out his father, he thought he was this evil man. It turned out it wasn't. His best friend's in love with him. And he loves him back, just like not that way. And so like he never had a normal upbringing. He was always raised by other people. Then he falls in love with this one girl who turns his world literally upside down. And ever since then, he hasn't been able to think straight and stuff. So Valentine himself. There's really no point in going into Jocelyn because she doesn't really do much other than be asleep the entire season. But here's our big main baddie. He's like Draco Malfoy. He's like Voldemort. He barely shows up in the first season, but he is mentioned way too much. And so like he wants to raise an army of Shadowhunters, so which he calls the Circle. And he no longer wants to protect the mortal world. He wants to control everything. Now, the actor who plays him is a good actor, but I've never found him to be evil in all 3 roles I've seen him in. He just needs to play a good guy because he always comes off looking like nice. And so he's very manipulative. He will do whatever it takes to get what he wants. And he has an army of demons at his will. So he doesn't even need the moral cup. Because he can make demons do whatever he wants. Because he's always making deals. Now he has turned some shadow hunters on his side. And, basically he just wants the cup, like I said before, to turn people into shadow hunters. And so he uses this one dude, I forget his name, but he's an instructor at the Institute. And so since he turned on that of Valentine put a rune on him that where if he ever tries to leak secrets, he gets burnt and tortured and stuff. But he ends up stealing the cup for that of Valentine. And Valentine tells him, look, man, you betrayed me a long time ago, and I'll let you get your freedom and stuff because you were never allowed to leave the Institute, but we ain't friends and we ain't partners. But Jace ends up chopping that dude's hand off and torturing him. So basically, he keeps trying to tell Jason, "No, look, man, we're the same. We're murderers, man." And Jason's like, "No, I don't murder people. Like, I be chopped his hand off and everything." And so he's been raising Jace ever since he was a little boy until he faked his death as Michael Whalen, and Jace had to go live with the Lightwoods. But when he raised Jace, he raised him to be mean and everything. And so Clary, at first, he acts like he doesn't even know that's his daughter, but she is. Now, there's some things that do get revealed in the second season, so I'll reveal that now because, like I said, I don't know when I'll be able to upload the second season. Clary has a twin brother, and so Valentine, he was so like into like the dark arts and demons. He experimented with demon blood and experimented on Clary and experimented on their son. The son is very demonic, and it is something to behold when you get the second and third season. And so like basically he ends up winning at the end of season 1 because like he has the cup and now he's turning tons of humans and stuff, and that's basically it. So while this first season is very good and better than the movie, I feel it does rushes a lot of stuff, and it does feel slightly flimsy at times only because it rushes so much stuff. It's funny how the movie and the show are so different, yet they tell the exact same story. It's very similar to that of his Dark Material, and what's the other thing called? The unfortunate something of no something unfortunate events. Lemony Spricket? Is that it? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I saw that Netflix show. And so it's funny how the shows are so much better than the movies. They can cover more ground, they can tell better stories, and they can structure things better, and they get a better cast. For some reason, in all these movies, they always miscast people for some reason. And I don't know why that is. And the people that they do cast in the movie, they're not terrible actors because they're good in other stuff. They were just never good in those projects that later got turned into like TV shows. Hannah is another show that was better than the movie and stuff. It's just so weird how the shows are better than the movies. But I do like this new take on like the supernatural world and stuff, It's nice to have something different instead of recycling the same stuff over and over and over again. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.